What's up guys, Nolan here, and today we're talking about one of the more ridiculous things in Escape from Tarkov, and that is the 100 round 5.56 mag. In my normal no BS fashion, I will start by saying the downsides are obvious. With its minus 27 ergo, it will destroy your weapon handling unless you go absolutely top of the line. And then there's the obvious elephant in the room that it's a 100 freaking round mag. If you end up dying, that's a ton of ammunition that you lose. With the time to kill in this game being what it is, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to run this over something like a D60P mag if you really want the extra spray and pray. In terms of meta, I would absolutely run 60 rounders, especially if you have the barter with Peacekeeper for them, because air filters are pretty cheap, making the total cost of this barter for the 60 round P mags about 11 to 15,000 rubles on the flea market. So these 100 round mags allow you to carry 40 extra bullets, but they cost more, way more, and make you lose more if you die, which you will end up doing eventually because realistically the role they fulfill isn't viable at the moment, period. The only viable gameplay meta that you can achieve with this is the leg or unarmored arm meta. Now let's have some fun and see how viable we can make it, which turns out this video isn't clickbait, boys, because it actually is as viable as anything else in the game that gets stopped once you are fighting a player that is wearing endgame armor. But again, this entire time, keep in mind the leg meta or the unarmored arm meta. When using the 100 rounder mag, people usually turn to the MDR because you can find them on raiders easily. So once someone gets it out of a raid, they meme around a little and use it once or twice. It's okay with this setup, and especially with the slower fire rate, you can somewhat keep it on target, so it's not bad. For this, I would use M855A1, M856A1, M855, and then FMJ in that order, and just go for the head as usual. But you can only buy so much of the good ammo, and you need a lot. If you want to test it thoroughly, you might go to your best possible M4 build because you have it ready to go and it's got maxed ergo. But that gun is 250 to 300k, and unless you have FU money, that's going to sting when you lose it to a Val gamer with your 200 to 400 rounds on you because you couldn't ADS quick enough to save yourself. If you're already in the bag for that much, it makes it difficult to spend a ton of money on that hard to get ammo, so it really just isn't as viable. However, if for some reason or another you have either a ton of money or a ton of this stuff stocked up, I would again go with M855A1, M856A1, M855, and FMJ in that order. So what you need is something with a high fire rate, high ergo, and cheap to make it as viable as possible. Welcome to the Shorty HK416. This build specifically will run you about 130 to 150,000 rubles, which is around 100,000 or more cheaper than that meta M4 you might run. The other thing is that we won't be running M855A1 either. We're going to run specifically 5.56 FMJ. FMJ has some interesting characteristics that in this case makes it great for what you're trying to do. FMJ has horrible pen at 24, but every other stat is actually good or even great for what we're trying to do with it. It does 52 flesh damage, which is higher than average for 5.56, and a reasonable 33 armor damage. The biggest number here, however, is the frag chance. For those who don't know, all bullets, when working as intended, have a chance to fragment and cause 50% extra damage. In the case of FMJ, each bullet has a 50% chance to cause 78 flesh damage instead of 52. So this is a 100 round mag feeding the highest rate of fire weapon for the ammo, and ideally being used at ranges where you really shouldn't miss, that can kill in 10 rounds or less guaranteed to an unarmored surface. The only downside, which is the answer to all questions in this game, is what the enemy is wearing for armor. If they're wearing level 6, you're fornicated. If they're wearing level 5, you're screwed. Then it's somewhat okay for level 4, and you'll make anybody wearing less than that develop instantaneous PTSD. Your major problems here, though, is literally what's covering most, if not all, reasonable players these days, which is that endgame armor. The math is that you will need to hit a level 5 or 6 player around 20 times at full durability in order to zero their armor. And that's worst case scenario. It could be less than that though. The good news is that is the max amount, and you have a lot more bullets than they do. If you're in a position to spend a couple resets buying up all the M855 that you can, you're going to have a reasonable chance at doing well for a couple raids or one fight if you run into a squad of level 5 and 6 players. If you spend a few days and millions of rubles hoarding M855A1 and you play with some friends, you will absolutely dominate every player or groups of players you get the chance to ADS and pin down while your friends move in. Unfortunately, that playstyle just doesn't happen in EFT these days because when it comes down to it, you can do it more effectively with something else. When using FMJ, if you have 400,000 rubles to throw away, then this is a ton of fun. And if you have 4 friends who also have 400,000 rubles to throw away. It's utterly hilarious. And just like anything that is really fun in this game, unfortunately, it is not too viable past a leg or unarmored arm meta when fighting fully awake end game geared players. That's it for today, guys. If you want to learn anything about Escape from Tarkov or its development, then you can check out my playlist for it here. If you're looking for people to play with, then you can join our Discord below. If you like this video, then you know the drill. I really appreciate the people who do. Otherwise, I hope you at least learned something, and I also hope you have a nice day. See you guys.